I think the question, of course, a very topical question about COVID-19, and we can take a look at the results. I can use the miracle of screen sharing,
Yes.
and we can actually take a look at at it itself. I found this to be very interesting. Change from planned cloud usage due to COVID-19. Astounding there, the enterprise level. So it's 30% significantly higher, with 29% slightly higher. So 59% are really increasing their cloud usage because of COVID-19. So it says to me that it's really pushing the virus is really pushing cloud computing usage.
Yeah, this is their planned usage. So just to put that in context, so we said, based on what you were planning at the beginning of the year, what do you think is going to change compared to that plan? And you can
Hmm.
see 59% are saying it's going to be higher. Now, keep in mind that could come from two different factors. So factor number one could be things that are already running in the cloud are going to be used more. So if you're running retail, online retailing, that's obviously going through the roof.
Right.
If you're doing software and SaaS, that may be going through the roof.
Hmm.
At the same time, there may be other areas where it could go down. What's going to happen in the hotel industry or something like that. But 59% are expecting it to increase. Now, the second place where it could increase is by more migration to cloud. So you
Mm.
may already have planned migration that you decide to accelerate because you think that there's some benefit in bringing things into the cloud.
Hmm.
So, for example, during COVID, everybody works from home. We saw a little bit in terms of some outages from some SaaS solutions or some challenges for a while. So, Teams was struggling, WebEx was struggling for a little while, but they
Yeah.
seem to have pretty quickly got those under control. And the cloud providers themselves, the public cloud providers, have weathered this pretty well to date.
Hmm.
So, for some companies that are looking for business continuity, they may see the cloud as more attractive given what we saw with COVID.
Hmm. Also, very interesting slide. I thought this was 17, page 17. 93% of enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy, which says to me that basically cloud computing is multi-cloud now. It is very much arrived.
Absolutely. And this is the strategy question, which is interesting because it tells you what people are thinking and what they're planning. And it's
Hmm.
been running kind of in the high 80s for a number of years.
Okay.
The hybrid cloud number has gone up. So we used to ask also about multiple private clouds, and that's almost gone away. So you
Right.
can see not only is it multi-cloud, but primarily that's hybrid. So some combination of public and private clouds.
And on a related note, I thought it was interesting. If you look at organizations lack a multi-cloud management tool. So cloud is multi-cloud, and yet companies are really struggling with multi-cloud management, or at least with having a full-fledged multi-cloud management tool in place.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of early days for this, even with multi-cloud. And the average this year we got back was companies were using 2.2 public and 2.2 private clouds on
Hmm.
average already today.
Right.
So they have a multi-cloud situation. Now, often that's not a 50-50 split. It's often a primary and a secondary, or a primary, secondary, and a tertiary cloud. So it might
r-
be an 80
Right.
20 split.
Hmm.
But as that cloud use is beginning to grow, this becomes a significant challenge. And cost, especially, is a significant challenge because companies are needing to manage that cost as they adapt and shift their workloads between those different cloud providers they use.
Hmm. And it's more a philosophical question. It seems that there was a time when cloud providers sold cloud, or people thought, well, we're going to save money by moving from our data center to the cloud. But I think I'm not sure cloud has really ended up being less expensive than the data center, which may be a big question. But do you have a general take on that?
Absolutely. So,
Okay.
definitely in the early days, cost was one of the factors considered.
Hmm.
And then it's shifted now. Often people think of agility as being a large factor as well.
Right. Right.
So, there is the opportunity to save money in cloud, but you have to think differently. So, if you take something you're running on prem and you provision it apples to apples with the exact same memory, that same CPU, the same storage,
Hmm.
and you run it and you buy it 24/7, and
Hmm.
you don't ever turn it off, and you don't
Right.
take advantage of discounting options, then you absolutely will pay more.
Mhm.
So as you move to the cloud, you have to think about both architectural issues, which is we don't have to run everything 24/7. We can scale up and scale down as capacity changes.
Right.
You have to think about optimizing as you move to the cloud to look at the fact that you're probably underutilized, almost certainly, on your compute and on your storage and
Mhm.
on other resources that you've allocated for many of those on-prem business services. So you have to optimize as you go. And then lastly, you have to leverage appropriate discounts from the cloud providers, whether that's an enterprise agreement or enterprise discount program, whether that's reserved instances or savings plan. You have to
Mhm.
take that into account. So if you plan well and you take advantage of both the architectural benefits, you optimize as you move, you take advantage of the discounting benefits, then you absolutely can save money in many cases, not in every case, but in
Right.
many cases in the cloud.
Interesting.